Story 1. It depends on what your issue is, but if your problem is a racing mind, I have a good trick. Basically, it's like counting sheep for the modern era. Start building a world in your head. Could be anything. Create your perfect farm, design your ideal spaceship, or imagine your perfect fortified castle, whatever interests you. Focusing on something enjoyable will help stop your mind from racing, and before you know it, it's morning. Can be challenging to keep your mind from wandering, but as soon as you realize you have drifted, refocus. Counting sheep, but better. Story 2. I have a kind of fantasy land I go into where I feel safe and cozy. It helps me relax into sleep. I also use a fan to cover the noise from my noisy neighbors. Story 3. I read a somewhat dull book on my e-reader. The advantage of the e-reader for me is that I can read with the lights out in bed, which helps me feel sleepy. The choice of book is very important personally. An exciting book will keep me up all night turning pages, but a less engaging read, like the history of geology, will put me to sleep. The trick is finding something interesting enough that I want to put down social media and go to bed to read, but dull enough that my eyes get heavy in about 30 minutes. Story 4. Getting on Reddit and reading long threads, listening to rain or storm sounds, and watching YouTube videos of people trying food or opening blind boxes. Story 5. Put on or remove an article of clothing. If you are tossing and turning, get up and walk around a little bit, maybe grab some water. Usually, I have my specific podcasts for sleep, but lately I have been into ASMR videos. I also have games on my phone to help me fall asleep, such as Solitaire, Sudoku, Minesweeper, and my Gacha game. Anything repetitive helps. Story 6. I found a free sleep podcast that works like magic. I fall asleep in minutes and I use it every night. It is called Nothing Much Happens. Story 7. I close my eyes and begin to mentally spend my imaginary lottery winnings, falling asleep before I purchase my third yacht. Story 8. Put on an audiobook, one of the classics. Some of them are so boring that it's hard not to fall asleep while listening. Story 9. Watch something calm on YouTube, like Bob Ross painting, and apply lavender oil on my chest. I have a restless mind, so watching something calming that still holds my attention just enough to prevent my mind from racing and stressing is helpful. Story 10. I have been doing what Corporal Wade mentioned for years. Probably started as a placebo, but I guess it developed into a habit. Story 11. I try to remember how to do something. In my case, I play the guitar, so I concentrate and think about playing a song and what my hands would be doing. I guess it both distracts and focuses me enough to fall asleep. Some nights. Tonight I am on Reddit. Story 12. I learned a technique in therapy called body scanning, which is also a form of meditation. The idea is to focus on either the very top or bottom of your body. I personally prefer to start with my toes. Completely focus your mind on that one body part and notice any sensations or feelings in that area. Then, slowly move your way up or down your body, concentrating on each part. You can also find videos that guide you through the process. Additionally, listening to relaxing sounds such as rainfall, beach waves, or wind blowing through trees can be effective for calming your mind. Story 13. I put on some white noise, like 10 hours of rain. The sounds help regulate my nervous system, and because I have done it so many times, I have conditioned myself to fall asleep when it starts playing. Story 14. I have a few techniques, including guided sleep meditations, counting, and breathing exercises. I find that a sleep mask helps me a lot, as I tend to want to open my eyes when trying to fall asleep. Story 15. I think the most important things for me are to avoid light as much as possible while getting ready for bed, and to use a sleep mask and silicone earplugs. You can still hear when the alarm goes off, but it feels like the world is down a hallway, making everything a bit more peaceful for a while. For extra comfort, weighted blankets can be nice. Story 16. I close my eyes and tell my brain to go to sleep. Somehow, I start thinking about why I can't sleep, and I manage to do so. I wake up the next morning thinking about the time and why I was able to sleep. Story 17. My best trick is to flatten my hands and keep them flat with my fingers extended. This seems to send a signal to my brain that nothing needs to be done, allowing me to relax. Take some willpower to maintain that position, but it always works for me. Story 18. If possible, stretch. Then tense all the muscles and curl your feet. Hold count and breathe out. Then sink into the pillow and bed while breathing out and releasing. Even though it may not work the first time, it's not your fault. Blame me, but try again and keep repeating. Your body will reward you. Story 19. I imagine a scenario in which the world is ending. There would be no more problems or stress if everything comes to an end. Story 20. Get up and drink a bottle of water. Walk around the house for about 10 minutes. When you realize you have nothing to do, you will fall asleep easily. Story 21. I bought a comfortable blackout eye mask a year ago. It has been a miracle for me and my mind that never relaxes. Story 22. Listening to an episode of that chapter about a gruesome murder mystery puts me right out. Story 23. I usually listen to white noise or train sounds to help me focus and fall asleep, especially when I have lingering thoughts or worries. Story 24. I had severe insomnia growing up due to childhood trauma. Even when I finally fell asleep, I would become so excited that it would wake me up. Created a loop of frustration, sadness, anxiety, and the trigger of waking up again. I tried medication and self-medication, but in the end, I realized that nothing helped, and it was all in my mind. I learned to simply be happy lying down and being present. If I sleep, I sleep. If I don't, I don't. Stressing over it only reinforces the pattern, and in time, I would eventually fall asleep. Letting go of the pressure of not being able to sleep is very helpful. The last thing to do is analyze the inability to sleep. Instead, you can review your day to yourself while you lie there. Story 25. Meditate. You may either fall asleep or experience physical rest along with a successful meditation session, both of which provide significant mental health benefits. Story 26. I play the alphabet game. Pick a theme such as animals, films, or authors, and go through the alphabet, naming an example for each letter. It works well for me. It's not very active thinking, but it is enough to prevent my mind from wandering. I rarely complete one round, let alone a second topic. Story 27. Mostly, I start focusing on my breath. I just lay there, concentrating on my breathing, only my breathing. I did a breathing exercise once, and it got me so relaxed that I tried using it to fall asleep whenever I was too awake. It has helped me quite a bit since then. Story 28. There is a relaxation method I learned a while back. I remember it as the see, hear, feel 3-2-1 method. Look at 3 different objects around you, focus intently, and build a mental image of them in your mind. Then listen for 3 different sounds that you can hear, such as electronic humming, streetcars, the dishwasher, or even your own breathing, and try to isolate those sounds. Next, pay attention to 3 sensations you can physically feel, like the pillow on your head or the blanket on your chest, and focus on those feelings. Then repeat the process with just 2 of each, followed by 1 of each. This method works extremely well because engaging your visual, auditory, and tactile senses in that sequence helps to reboot your mind and promote relaxation. Usually, if I'm trying to sleep, I can't even get to the final rotation of just 1 of each before I'm out. Story 29. I put on a movie or something that makes a soothing sound, and I try to close my eyes until I fall asleep. Alternatively, I turn on a speech by Donald Trump, and then I automatically drift off to sleep. Story 30. Think of a situation from your childhood when you felt comfortable and were falling asleep. For me, it is dozing off on the couch on a Friday night after school while my dad is watching rugby. I imagine a rugby game to help me sleep. Story 31. I count backwards from 300. This requires concentration, allowing me to focus solely on this task instead of the thoughts swirling through my mind. I learned this technique during hypnotherapy sessions to help manage anxiety. Story 32. YouTube has 8-hour-long videos of Bob Ross painting, featuring no music or credits, just a black screen with Bob, his palette knife, and happy little clouds. Story 33. Make the room as dark as possible by covering all lights. Ensure it is as cold and quiet as you can manage. If it's not quiet enough, you can play a background black screen sound on YouTube to help you sleep. I prefer melatonin if I have to wake up early the next day. Otherwise, I use Benadryl, which helps me fall asleep quickly. However, be cautious with Benadryl since it is technically an allergy medication. Story 34. I think about what I am going to wear tomorrow as I lie in bed. I have heard that giving yourself a task you can complete helps put your mind at ease. I have been doing this for decades now. Story 35. Alphabetized produce. Our brains are tired of lists, so making a mundane list will put you to sleep quickly. Here is my list of produce organized alphabetically. Apples, apricots, acorn squash, asparagus. B. Bananas, butternut squash, broccoli, Brussels sprouts, butter lettuce. C. Carrots, celery, cabbage, cauliflower. D. Daikon, dill, dates, dragon fruit. E. Eggplant, endive, edamame, extra virgin olive oil. I rarely get past D or E. Story 36. I start thinking about different fruits being peeled. Keeps my attention, as not much is happening, and the action is soothing to watch. Story 37. If you have attention deficit hyperactivity disorder, which is linked with insomnia, I suggest ambient music. It helps block out the thoughts that keep me awake. Lately, I've been using a specific ambient music track and a playlist for this purpose. Story 38. There are 3 things that work for me. Focusing on my breathing, what I refer to as refusing to move, and trying to have a rest instead of trying to sleep. The first technique is straightforward. The second involves a decision to no longer move consciously. If you think about the movement, don't do it. Sometimes you'll move unconsciously, which is fine, but I find that if I'm restless and tossing and turning, simply deciding not to move anymore can help. It's interesting to observe how much your body moves even without conscious awareness. The final technique is to accept that you're having a rest and not trying to sleep. You can't force yourself to sleep, but you can choose to lie down and rest. Often, when I let go of the urge to sleep and just accept that I'm resting, I find myself falling asleep soon after. In both cases, the attitude should be relaxed and non-judgmental. If you make a mistake, acknowledge it calmly and move on. Story 39. I used to have severe insomnia, and the thing that really helped me was reading an article that suggested not getting up or focusing too hard on falling asleep. Instead, it recommended just lying down, closing my eyes, and resting. Apparently, even if you are just doing that, your body gets some actual rest, almost with the same benefits as sleeping. So even if you don't reach rapid eye movement sleep, you will still wake up feeling rested. This approach always works for me now, mainly because I stopped panicking about how long it takes to fall asleep. Story 40. There are some incredible sleep meditation channels that work effectively. Male voices: Jason Stevenson, Stephen Dalton, Michael Seeley, John Moyer. Female voices: Unlock Your Life, Tansy Forrest, Pararaza. I pay for premium so there are no ads. Most of these channels place their ads at the beginning or end of the video, so you could set a timer to shut off the app a minute before the video ends. Thanks a bunch for sticking around till the end of the video. Remember to subscribe, and until next time, stay awesome and goodbye.